I think the APO, or Asian Productivity Organization workshop, exposed me to a lot of ideas that could be actionable at this point in our country and in our very communities. Working smarter means knowing what the market wants. Do they want less sugar? Do they want no sugar? Do they want gluten-free? Who will tell that to the producer? They don't know the specialty markets. They also don't know how to dress up for the market. People want to know the story. People want to know who made it, where it was made, how it was made, who the producer is. What is she all about? That's what we help the producers put on their labels. We help tell the story. And when you group them together in a place like the Echo Store, the market transforms into more enlightened buyers. They are women farmers. She doesn't know that adds value. There are global initiatives for diversity that are exactly looking for coffee harvested by women farmers. I'm a small farmer. I don't have money to buy chemical fertilizers or pesticides. By default, it becomes organically grown coffee. And that adds value. For all exporters, it's about scale. For all supermarkets, it's about scale. But if you can't increase the yield, then you increase the market value. There's a consumer who's looking for better product, traceable to source, so we give them that connection. In a competitive world, you like keep your cards close to your chest, but I think by sharing, we actually learn more and we produce more. The APO has already helped by merely exposing me to such possibilities.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we are present to share the National Conference on Temperature Control Supply Chain in Asia. And the first speaker is our honor, Dr. Rodney V. from Asia Cold Chain Center. He's going to talk about the cold chain trend in Asia Pacific. Hi, Dr. Rodney. Now
Hi, good
it's your
morning.
turn. Hi. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Firstly, let's go back to the front slide. There's nothing much to introduce about myself. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this conference, and I'm very happy to be presenting to you today. What we are looking at is when I wrote this set of notes originally, it was before COVID. So the issues in Asia Pacific area was not so critical. In Asia Pacific, basically at that time, we were more concerned about getting our yields right, our post-harvest right, and getting it to the markets. But with COVID pandemics and the lockdowns that followed, the problems came in the form of safe distancing. We had lockdowns to prevent spread, so we had quarantine. We had we had new protocols that were ad hoc, not really formulated, and so people were doing. That was bad for two areas. Basically, was the medical and health industry, and particularly the food industry, because we needed to get medicines to people and we had to get food to people. So all the supply chains that we thought were going very well was fragmented and shattered. So we had to redo and rethink everything all over. When you're talking about medical, health, and food, the first thing that comes to mind is the cold chain. The cold chain is basically the temperature control, but it's not just the temperature control. We were controlling actually the environments that your products went through. So basically, this was shattered. And because of that, first thing that happened, that very good produce that was done before outside your cities cannot get into the city. And when they cannot get into the city, they cannot get into the markets and the consumers. When you don't get the market and the consumers, what is the farmer and the producer and the factory going to do? They had to throw it away because it was fresh produce and it went to waste. So we had to breach this thing. So the next thing that people did was they went into the mode of e-commerce. All right. Can you slide the slide, please? Next slide. Right. So when they went into e-commerce, if you look through this point here, we are looking at the right-hand side, 3 o'clock of that nice circular thing. When people cannot travel, means goods cannot travel as well, because we are afraid that the produce was contaminated. So the food outlets were all affected by this. The producer, the processor, the logistics and support organizations, the inventory control people, and the outlets were all affected by this. So when we were affected by this thing, people said, all right, I press the button, I use my phone, I use my tablet, I use my computer, and we went to start looking at e-commerce, which was good, except there was one problem. When you order food from your Uber Eats or one of those delivery people, or even your favorite restaurant, the food couldn't come because the raw ingredients, the produce itself couldn't get to them. The fish couldn't get there. The meat, the dairies, the vegetables, the fruits all couldn't get there. So when you can't get there, your food and beverage outlet couldn't prepare. The central kitchens couldn't prepare any food, and that's where our systems broke down. So people rushed to the supermarket when they could, or the markets when they could. And you find that as the picture on the bottom left-hand corner will show you, the shelves became bare. Because reserve stocks, most people calculate inventory on one on the retail floor, one on the shelf, one in reserve. And so when everybody comes in at the same time, everything went all at once. Next slide, please. So this thing you call very nicely called a disruption was already there on a smaller scale. The challenges existed pre-COVID. Now, when pre-COVID was what? Because of climate change, the impacts of climate change, we were having poorer harvests, less rice, less wheat, less corn, the main ingredients of what we eat today, the main staple foods. We were already having this problem in pre-COVID, yeah, and then but the deliveries were okay because the aircraft was moving, people were traveling, and in the holes of the aircraft, some cargo was moving at the same time. Then we have this issue of global political and economic unhappiness. The main one being between China and America. America being the ones who want to find fault with China. The sad problem is one side was supplying and one side was buying, and then the supply chains came to a break. Okay, because China is one of the biggest consumers of barley, wheat, grain stock products, and so if they were to slow down their purchases, the farmers were already having problems. ASEAN at that time was still having a little bit of a boom because what then happened there, we got some of the business, but not enough. Then COVID came in. COVID-19 pandemic caused us to close borders, close the main borders internationally, close the interstate and inter-province, inter-district borders, which means that even as you look across and you can see your neighbor from across the borderline or the river or the barrier, you just couldn't get your food to him or him to you. And what was missing at the time is that we did not have proper pandemic SOP, standard operating procedures. We should have after SARS, but 2003 and 2020 was 17 years apart, and people tend to forget and think that it won't happen again. So we did not have SOPs. So everything was ad hoc from the government, the industry, as well as the general public. We didn't have SOPs. And with the closure of the borders, people panicked. And panic buying will cause you depletion of stocks. Then it goes to the social media. So Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and people looking at taking photographs of empty shelves and situations where the food wasn't coming through. And because of that, people panicked. Okay, so the lockdowns and isolate people in lockdowns and isolated zones were panicking even further. And so governments were forced to act. They had no choice. They had to enforce quarantines. But because the support inventories was down, we had to look at alternatives. So when you look at alternative, processed food came into the picture. But processed foods were not able to get to the market fast enough because, again, transport and logistics was affected. And because they were affected, we couldn't get your instant noodles and all that to the markets. And these stocks, those that were there, were actually not enough. So the new emphasis as a result of all these losses in productive efficiencies from production to markets and to consumers caused us to have to rethink. And many of people in the food industry and even governments are now looking at what's happening next. We are already facing, in many countries, second wave of COVID, third wave of COVID. And of course, the psychological pressures that come with COVID lockdowns. Okay, so we are now looking at the processed food, not just totally processed, but we are looking at also kit form of food, which is ready to cook, RTC, and ready to eat, RTE, right? And we are looking at that where people who are not used to cooking can actually pop that complete set of ingredients into a microwave or a wok or an oven and can have instant meals. So with this kind of challenges, we have now got to consider the issue of how to change our style of buying, our style of stocking, which is directed by our patterns of eating. Right? Next slide. Right. So these challenges come about. Additional to that is how to maintain the cool or the cold chain for the perishable. We start first with 12 o'clock, right in the top center. We look at the warehousing and the supply chain distribution and the inventory control. We look at this and we realize that that is the heart of the problem. Getting from the raw materials from the production or processed areas to your warehousing to make sure that your distribution networks are not affected by COVID lockdowns. All right, to equip your people as we move on with personal protection equipment so that when they come and do your deliveries to wherever you want it to be, either intermediate point for collection or directly to the consumer, you need to bring it, you need to protect your people and the consumer or buyer, right? So we need to have technologies used. We have to look at new SOPs that for us to do. Another thing, so everybody relied on e-commerce, e-grocery. I would go to my phone, I would go to my tablet, and I would just order like I do for online deliveries. That was fine. But some countries have very, should I say, limited level as far as e-payment platforms are concerned. So payment was a problem. Handling of cash was one point of contact where COVID-19 could be transferred. Okay, and the last part was a lot of nightmares was the last mile delivery from the actual location to your house, to your doorstep, the face-to-face part, the transfer, the receiving. And that caused another set of problems. People rushed to improve their ITCs, okay, the internet and the computers and the telecommunication. So then we started moving from fresh produce to two areas that we needed to look at. And that wasn't enough. What is known as RTC, ready to cook, and the other area was ready to eat. So people started looking, though, especially those that can't cook or were very busy before and didn't learn, They had to look at something that I can put in a microwave or an oven, and then I can cook. And that wasn't enough because there was not enough of that kind of production available in the market. And you can't sustain packet noodles from February till now. So there had to be a kind of a change in thinking, really a new mindset for looking at semi-processing and processed foods, right? Then the idea that we also have to think about is that in COVID crisis, before we don't know when the vaccine is going to come out. We also don't know when the vaccine is going to be as effective as what they hope it will be. We hope so, but no guarantees. So can we stockpile? So we maybe have to look at things like incubating startups for processed food or even semi-processed foods. So while we look at that, let us move to the next slide. Next slide, please. Right. So let's look at the cold chain in detail now. I would not focus on the details because the next two speakers will focus on the academic, practical, and the other speaker will also look at the actual dynamics of applications. So let us look at in general. The cold chain in the previous context before we did all this was 20 years ago was just basically managing temperature. All right? Managing temperature means if it's 2 to 4, 4 to 8, minus, whatever it is, positive or negative, we set the temperatures, we make sure the environment the temperatures were correct, and that was enough. So they supplied cool trucks, cool chambers, cooling facilities, and we thought that was okay. But as we moved along from 20 years ago up to now, we found that it had to be the rethink about the cool chain came about. That is an integrated control and the management of the atmosphere, the environment of the particular produce, which means that we have to study the product, which comes down to the three little circles. The first one was production. The cultivars chosen for this sort of thing, we had to understand the characteristics or the idiosyncrasies of the cultivar. The particular cultivar each cultivar wasn't the same. Everybody thought, potatoes, it'll be the same as carrots, it'll be the same as tomatoes and everything else, but it wasn't the same. So methodology and skill set had to be adapted to the different kind of cultivar. Next stage is we have to look for sustainability. Ad hoc applications wasn't good enough, and I know Thailand is leading the way in the food logistics, so they're pretty sustainable. But COVID threw you a curve, right? There also had to be economies of scale before it could be affordable and to the consumer. So markets and market pressure threw in the other curve and the added pressures to the food industry. Number two is delivery. All right, logistics and transport, the staging, the product mix. It was not all one lorry load of lychee or longan. That was okay, right? But when you had smaller shipments and you had to mix cargo, your organizing and your staging of your cargo mix was very important. Some things could not mix, or else you damage the other cargo. Distribution networks then it had to undergo changes. Deliveries had to be windows, because if not, you have an allocation of the time you can deliver. If you're not delivering at that time, the person might not be in, the cold chain again will be affected, and so methodologies had to cope. And so customer service on the last mile service became a priority. Even in countries like America and Europe and in Australia and New Zealand, we are still looking at the last mile because we have got to cover great distances to deliver. Now that came to the third circle, which is basically to do this from production to delivery, we had to look at maintaining the integrity of the product. maintaining the integrity of the packaging. We have to pack it properly. We have to pack it. The packaging had to look a little bit more advanced. We have to look into the possibilities of applications of like nano packaging, where you had to have smart packaging to actually tell you what was the condition of the produce inside. Cold chain management had to redo a thinking. We had to look at gas, the influences of gas. We had to look at the influences of humidities, right? And every stage of the game, we had to look at this integrity part, which meant handling. We have people who are used to handling maybe a box of your clothes or your things like your hardware, that they didn't know how to handle food produce, which is more delicate. And storage units were not really catered for that. They were not clean, so food safety was affected. They were trying to rush things through, carelessness. So at the end of the day, all three had to come together, and it had to be dynamic in order to be adaptable to the changing conditions. Next slide, please. So when we look at it, we have two types in the strategy. Let's think of the strategy first. And in Asia and Pacific area, there are different levels of, should I say, competence in the cold chain. For domestic, we had one because our production was nearby. Our consumer was nearby. For export, now export, there are different kinds of export. Two kinds, basically. One is export, means I send to the next city or next town or the next province. The other export is, of course, international. You could cross boundaries into the next country, right? So the strategies will have to be different. We had to study destinations. We had many occasions whereby the production area, the temperatures and the conditions were of one kind, and when we send it to another country, it could be in winter. So we manage heat by controlling the temperature. But when we went to another destination, which was a colder country, it was winter, right? And so what happened was we got frostbite for our produce. So we had to manage both the production and the destination. All along the way, we had to train people in the warehouse, the operations, the transportation, the logistics, all about the new food security that was required in the cold chain. Of course, we are lucky today that we have more technology applications. We can monitor with apps, track and trace. We can monitor with our computers. We have devices like data loggers that are tiny, little coin size. Okay, but then again, a lot of the problems came from the fact that the people handling it didn't know what they were doing. So we had to do things like training and development. We had to focus on what are the subjects, the produce itself, the type of produce. We looked at the curriculum that was required, the languages that were different. Mine is in English, but I know that if I go to Thailand, I got to do the translation into Thai, which might not be accurate. It had to be more accurate, or Vietnam, and so it had to be different. The jargons that are used in our trade it was different. So they need to understand what the jargons meant. In other words, the words that describe something. When you talk about a temperature excursion to a normal person, and they look at you and what's an excursion? Excursion, school days was I go out and go and visit a nice, fun place. But the excursion was different. It's a temperature spike. And in order for people to learn, not academically only, but we had to have practical. So practical came in. And we had to have people we had to come in the sector of human intervention. A lot of people come in and tell me that, well, AI is going to fix this and this and this. If it was a controlled environment, AI can help. But many things, so that a decision needed to be made, human intervention is required. And one of the things that we're talking about is actually the decision to apply the occupational health and safety, especially in the COVID. Number two, the type of packaging which is best suited for the product involved. Many times, in the case of Singapore, it's very common. What they do is they throw a lot of money onto a problem and expect to solve it. Sometimes it's more like asking an elephant to kill an ant, and it doesn't solve the problem. Sometimes straightforward, common sense packaging works better. So standards and safety, later on they will talk about your ISO 22000 and the like, and I won't get into it. So GAP protocols, Codex, HACCP, ISO is a separate issue, but it had to be complied. Pre-harvest and post-harvest applications in agriculture is absolutely necessary, and with Kasasa down there, they can tell you more. Yeah? Okay. So pre and post-harvest, the issue here is, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, for example, tubers. We had problems with people who came up and said there were damages. But then we asked them, how did you harvest? Well, we used a machine. Well, what was the ground like? Well, the ground was hard. So why didn't in the afternoon you kind of wet the ground so the ground gets softened, and when you use a machine, it won't damage the product, and therefore cause the product to be more susceptible to damage. So these are the things that we have to talk about. So selection of packaging, implementation of all of these, and information management is very important today, especially in what we are doing. Next slide, please. Right, I won't go into this because I can talk about this the whole day. So what I did was I created a mind map for you, a mind map of what's happening in Asia and the Asia Pacific region, right? So when they give you my slides, please look at it and look at what this mind map is trying to put together and give you a kind of a snapshot, if you like, of the entire issue regarding what's happening in the Asia Pacific, right? Each area has got different emphasis by different countries and different economies. What we're doing in APO for the past 6-8 years has been, we're moving all the way from the traditional forms of agriculture to agriculture 4.0 and 4.1. And when we look at this and we realize that the cold chain had to be smarter, had to be more efficient, had to be more effective, but most of all, it had to be adaptable to the kind of changing conditions we are facing today. Next, please. Right. So when we come to the food logistics, I mean, some of the others will probably talk more about this. If you look very carefully, there are 3 colors in the wordings. One of the most important of the wordings is in red. You look at it here and you will find in red, on the left is human intervention, the other side is AI driven. So you look at it, one of right on the top of the left hand side is life cycle management. When you're talking food, you're looking at life cycle management. And because when you do that, you're managing shelf life, which is the next red item. The third one is that now we are looking at controlled atmosphere. In order to get the cool chain in place, and the fact that we are looking at urban agriculture now, countries like Singapore, countries like Japan and Korea, I've already looked into using, for example, the metro farms in Korea, in Seoul. It's built into the subways. The shops in the subway converted into a farm that is controlled and atmosphere controlled environment. And there you produce salads. And the salads goes into a vending machine, which you put coins in or you put your card in, and then you buy your product. In this COVID era, where people contact is supposed to be limited, then that is one of the answers that we are looking at. So cargo monitoring, especially temperature, the conditions from that thing to the machine or to the consumer need to be controlled. And how do they control? We look at on the right side, interactive virtual tracking. Okay, it has to be interactive because if the temperature spikes for some reason, we need to be able to correct it, right? And then there's the delivery strategies. How do we want to deliver? At a pickup point, face-to-face, at a neutral zone, all right? We are already testing what we call autonomous delivery systems, which means we are using robots or self-driven machinery, either drones or drone self-driven equipment vehicles to do delivery, so there's no contact, right? But then there's an issue in some countries, and that's the issue of confirmation. How do you know that what you ordered online and the supplier supplied online has been delivered? This sort of confirmation should come in using your IT. You have your mobile phones, you use your apps and all that to come in. So I will only talk about the red items, but this is another comprehensive look for you as a chart. Next, please. Right. One of the issues that we faced even before this, more than 10 years ago, was the issue of air freight. People thought, wow, if I send everything by air, it will get there fast, you'll get there cool, and there would be a problem. There won't be a problem. But then there were problems, and then so people asked me, how did that happen? Well, if you put your perishable sensitive cargo, whether it's pharmaceuticals, and the people who alerted us to this was actually the pharmaceutical industry. We had things like Tamiflu and other vaccines that were going through the airport and coming out spoiled. And you cannot tell that something's gone wrong with the vaccines because you can't see it. So then we found out that what we call on-tarmac time, between the first aircraft and the second aircraft, people left the aircraft air container out on the tarmac, on the next to the plane. And in some countries, in Australia, we measured the temperatures. On the tarmac, temperature reached as high as 55 degrees centigrade. So can you imagine sensitive cargo in there even for a while? This excursion mutated the vaccines. So when we looked at things like fish, prawns, lobsters, we found that the same problem occurred. So therefore, on-tarmac time calculation was important. So places like Changi Airport, in Frankfurt, all that, they went into refurbishing the airport facilities into what they call a cool port. When they did that, they have also got aircraft air containers to become refrigerated containers. So you can plug in. But remember, when you put it in the sun, you plug in, it may not be enough. So therefore, we again got to make sure that the cooling calculation, including gel pack applications, had to be calculated to have a buffer to maintain temperatures. Okay, transit time had to be also calculated. This was more evident for live product shipments, live prawns, live lobsters, okay, live fish going by air. And that had also another issue that we encountered. And one was stress management. When a lobster comes to you that has got stress, you find that the lobster meat is lousy. Even the best lobster becomes bad. Because when they've got adrenaline all flowing through, they feel stressed out, and the meat gets tough and it's not worth eating. So then your customer says, oh, that's bad, I'm not paying for it. So airport infrastructure had to be changed. Product information had to come in. Product mix had to come in. In Indonesia, we had a case where a shipment of prawns going from Batam Island to the city by air died. Every one of them died. He said, look, I put it in perfect conditions. Why did it die? Well, the product mix on the aircraft was wrong. The next packaging down there had dry ice. CO2 was being emitted, and the CO2 got into the water and killed the prawns. So the product mix had to be informed, had to be known. So product knowledge, routing information, cargo mix information had to be done. So air transport for shipments became more critical. Recently in the COVID, Singapore ran out of eggs, so we flew a passenger plane, mind you, to Bangkok, and we had a plane load of eggs. Then we found it's not enough. We flew a passenger plane to Poland and brought back eggs. Okay? But then again, you don't forget changes in temperature, changes in pressure. Air pressure did affect some of the eggs, so the shelf life was affected. So therefore, now you're not only managing the cold chain, you're also managing the environment that the cargo is in. Thank you. Next. Okay, so we are now in the digital age. Digital drivers in e-grocery supply chains are important. This will help you mitigate some of your cold chain problems. So when you want a cold chain, let us look at first, click again please. Yeah, technologies. We have off-the-shelf technologies that we are not using. Handheld and wearable technologies are available with apps. Using your Wi-Fi and mobile connectivity and your computer internet links, you actually can know what's going on. Actually, some of the social media can also be used. We are now using Viber, WhatsApp. You're using what other software that you're using, your apps that are using in a phone to communicate. So social media also gives feedback, immediate feedback. And we cannot say, okay, we need to have very expensive server systems. Well, cloud computing is readily available. And from there, you can do the extraction of your big data mining for analytics and your customer interface. So the customer knows you pick your longan from Chiang Rai area and you bring it down to Singapore. It only took so many hours, and the temperatures were there, and I'm getting it fresh. So that's what we're trying to make it now very transparent. Next slide. Next point, please. Click. Thank you. Changes in business models now move because of COVID from physical retail to e-retailing. So now you see people are buying their fruits, their vegetables, their fish, their meats all online. And because of COVID, we can't go out. So if you can't go out, you got to bring it to you. So this is the different business models which require new dynamics. Next, please. And because of this, you need new supply chain networks. You have to rethink the networks again. The ordinary distribution methodology is disrupted. Infrastructure and SOP need to change. Speed, accuracy, and accountability of the networks have got to come out. So we have pushed aside some of the outdated, old-fashioned food logistics people and looked at the people who are more dynamic. Okay. Now, why you need to have that dynamics? Well, the issue of the cold chain is actually to serve this maintenance of quality. So we need to have the networks that actually are dynamic and maintain the quality of which the producer, the processor has done. Last one. Click, please. Thank you. So the objectives are not changed. It still remains the same. Managing the cold chain means maintenance of agri-food product integrity. Therefore, your track and trace must be accurate. You must have control over your product environment. You must have contingencies for breaks in your environment. You must have standby. Focus on your food safety, especially in the handling area, and labeling your maintenance instructions. We have a problem here. A lot of it that comes from that we import from Japan and Korea come in with the Korean and Japanese language, but we don't have English labeling. So now the regulation is to have an English label to go with it. I'm sure the same will have to apply for Thailand. You have it in English, but you got to have it in Thai. So these are the things that you require to have. Okay, next slide. So basically, let's look at what we got to do to mitigate our cold chain. We have to look at to be proactive in our food supply security. Our networks, our clusters of sourcing and supply need to be, should you say, closer, if you can, getting to be more controlled and transparent, so that in your food strategies, I get this food from this country or that country, or from this province or that province, it will come in on time and in the right condition. Where do we get this information? Well, you already have it. Most people, like supermarkets, already has been data mining for years. So now you've got to do an analysis of what people buy, what people order, what people consume, and use your AI for forecasting inventory. And with the COVID, we'll have to look at the alternatives. What if there is a new COVID cluster? Where do we get it from? Can we get it from another direction, right? Staging support inventory, and you'll have to consider stockpiling for ready to eat and ready to cook, right? And so you need to also plan the cold chain for your ready to eat and ready to cook. Ready to eat and ready to cook are not all dried foods. They are also fresh produce. Ready, complete kit. You come in and you cook and you heat up and you eat. Okay? Look at value-added production, complementary products, because when people eat in Asia, they don't just eat one item. They want to have say, for example, the main course, they want to have the vegetable to go with it, the fish, the soup. Consider the entire spectrum. Upgrade and enable your payment modes and platforms, because nowadays handling of money is one form of COVID transfer, okay, the virus transfer. Enhance your procedures and protocols in a new SOP norm, because now we must plan for any kind of pandemic. Okay, commence strategic growth in your urban production, all right? Production in urban. And you see my pictures here, a couple of pictures. One is on the bottom is actually the example of what is happening in Singapore. We got a lot of high-rise buildings. We've started farms on the top. And the other one is actually a used container where they convert it into a greenhouse, which are placed in between some buildings in the urban environment. Okay, next. Okay, in summary, first thing, let's look at what we have. Click, please. Implement your technology applications from post-harvest right along the value chain, right at the consumer. Now you have to include the consumer in it. Why? Because of COVID, right? No brainer there. Improve your staging and transport network infrastructure, especially the cold chain. A lot of people, when I talk to people, my friends in Vietnam, and they're telling me, few of us only have trucks, few of us only have cold rooms. And then what do? Well, now when it came to COVID, we got stuck. So I told them, you have no choice. You have to invest in infrastructure. Then I asked them about SOPs, Cambodia. SOPs were not available in the perishable food environment. So in these lockouts, they had problems because there were no SOPs. So I had to rewrite the SOPs to accommodate. And in different city, different application, different town, different application. I said, look at your startups, look at your young people. Ask them to, and encourage them and inspire them to innovate new or upgrade platforms and apps for tracking and traceability as well as for e-commerce. Okay, having contingency operational plans for alternative sourcing. That's one of the mistakes Singapore made. They didn't have alternative sourcing or routing or even transportation. In the end, send a big passenger plane to bring eggs in, right? That's using an elephant to kill an ant too, right? So please look at also packaging and complementary technologies to be used at source. Things like humidity absorbers, okay, moisture absorbers, and other kind of things that you could use. Include these dynamics in your existing distribution networks. If you can, redesign your supply chains, right? Make sure that your timing for the consumer and the product has to be all together. Do not just think of the delivery, do not think of the product only, but think of the product, the consumer, and yourselves. So therefore, in order to manage the cool chain at this juncture of COVID, we have to adopt a holistic approach to managing your perishable cargo environment. Your food environment has got to be managed. Thank you. Time for question and answers if you like.
จะมีใครมีคำถามให้กับดร. รอดนี่ไหมคะมีคำถามไหมคะเป็นภาษาไทยก็ได้นะคะ
If you cannot more,
yes.
If the audience, there are 100 over them, if they cannot think of any questions at this time, it's okay for them to send their questions to you at a later date post conference, and you send to me, I'll answer and give it back to you.
โอเคค่ะโอเค thank you ดร. รอดนี่บอกว่าถ้ายังคำถามตอนนี้ยังไม่มีสามารถที่จะส่งมาให้ทีหลังแล้วก็เดี๋ยวจะส่งไปให้ดร. รอดนี่ตอบได้นะคะ so okay I think I have another question for you okay remember that we discussed about the incident about the egg export from Thailand to Singapore. Just now you said that there is a lot of problem, right? Could you explain more about like what happened and then how much of the waste, how much of the loss during the transportation?
I can't hear you properly. There's an echo. Maybe
sorry.
if you take away the presentation, we can talk better. Yeah, okay, sorry. There's an echo.
Okay, so I will ask a question again. Could you explain about the export of egg from Thailand to Singapore during the COVID? You said that there is a lot of loss.
Okay. What happened was we buy something like 30 million to 40 million easily every 6 to 6 months of fruit from Thailand. And what happened was you normally put it in a cold truck and you send it by road from north, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, all the way down to Singapore. But you must go through Malaysia. When you got COVID, Malaysia closed the border. So we cannot get your fruit and vegetables. So what we do is we tell the government, you allow us to air freight. But when you say air freight, Singapore Airlines do not have enough planes that are pure cargo carrier. We don't enough. So the cargo carrier went for long distance, we imported fresh meat from Australia, sometimes like 3 times a week. So the cargo carrier had to go to Australia. So we had nothing. So what we do is we use a passenger plane, and we load the passenger economy, business class, all get to sit. Eggs get to sit inside, fruit get to sit inside, vegetable get to sit inside. But this is because there was no planning. There was no planning. Now they are thinking of taking some plane and convert to cargo carrier. But that takes time, because the plane that you convert to cargo carrier has to go back to what you call it, Airbus or Boeing, and they are not working there too because they got COVID there. So I cannot convert. So I have to still use my passenger plane. These are examples of where we go wrong. Singapore go wrong. Okay, because when I long ago when I talked to them about cargo carriers, they look at me and say, no need. Every day got flights. Like Bangkok, we got before Singapore and Thai Airways, we got how many flights one day? He said, no problem. I put in the plane, the passenger plane in the hole. We get, 2 hours and we are already third hour, we are in the market. Good. But in COVID, you can't do that. Your passenger flight's gone. When your passenger flight's gone, your cargo capacity gone. So you must spend one plane, do nothing but carry fruit and vegetables here. But I cannot put the fish on board the plane. So that is a problem. So I have to put fish become frozen. Frozen go into refrigerated containers, and they come from Bangkok to Singapore 3 days. So there is a headache. You see, the whole entire network went wrong because nobody thought in Singapore that this would be a problem. So COVID came out. This is a new problem. So now they have to rethink again. Now everybody is like looking at it and saying, "Wow, we are in big trouble." So we also ordered some things from Vietnam. We ordered a lot of vegetables from Vietnam too, but luckily they all come by sea. So but it takes from there to here something like 3.5, 4 days. By the time we get to market, nearly 7 days. So the prolonged time means my shelf life becomes shortened. My cold chain is broken. But when I'm talking to other countries during this period, because I have a cold chain project going on in Vietnam and also in Cambodia, we are talking. And the problem they have is that outside Hanoi, plenty of food. Inside Hanoi, not enough food. Why? Because inside Hanoi got COVID case. Outside Hanoi, people cannot travel because of safe distancing. So lockdown blocked them too. So inside the country, outside the country, same problem. So we are not the only ones. In Australia, which is the state that I work with, which is South Australia, the state alone is the size of France. We are a major food producer. We produce a lot of meat, poultry, vegetables, fruit, and dairy. But we cannot cross the border into the next state because up to today, most of the borders are still closed. Only limited access. So we cannot cross the border. Next door, but you cannot go across. You can look at them, but you cannot give it to them. So the other side had not enough food. We had too much. So what to do with too much milk, too much meat, too much vegetables? We had to give them away or throw them away. So that is the kind of problems that we are facing. So this is not a problem only for one country. It's for all. So right now, our priority in APO is looking at how are we going to adjust to everybody to look at how do we going to cope with another COVID. Now in many countries they are talking about second wave of COVID, third wave of COVID. Okay, Malaysia talking about second, third wave already. In Europe they're talking about the second wave of COVID. In America, let's not talk about it. They are already in a mess. Okay, Other countries were worried about the second and third wave. If we don't learn from this first wave, we will never be able to cope with the next wave. So right now we are already planning what to do with the next wave, right? Yes, right now APO is also offering. I'm not sure whether Sri Lanka is going to host the next one next month, but I'm going to do the workshop on startup for processed food, particularly for ready to cook and ready to eat. Okay, maybe Thailand can already advance. You got big people like CP, and you got so many industries there. They're already there. The problem is now the distribution. They produce, but if you have a problem in Bangkok, you can't get in. But you have it outside Bangkok, plenty of food. So food is our priority. The next stage is, of course, vaccines, but that is another story. We won't talk about that in this conference. Yeah, because I'm also doing vaccines, so I can talk about it. But right now, the thing is that APO is now looking at encouraging people to invest in startup. Okay, startup in the field of food. So we try to move from not only fresh produce in urban farming, 1, 2, high-tech farming in urban area, 3, we're looking at go into the semi-processed and processed food, ready to cook, ready to eat. Okay, I'm sure Kassasak and all in Thailand are already very advanced in this area, which you all can look at. Maybe from the conference, from co-chain, you start looking at that, because if you don't do it properly without the co-chain, it's useless. So you need to work it together. Okay.
Thank you very much. Actually, I think our government has a lot of projects that try to help a lot of SME, especially SME, about the project that helped to give the knowledge and also some kind of like funding. Yes, but I'm not sure if maybe tomorrow we will have some government officer to talk about the related government project with the co-chain management.
Correct. Anyway, of the Mekong countries, Thailand is the most advanced. So people like Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar looking to you for leadership. So if you're already there, please also help them. Yeah?
Yeah, I hope so. Okay.
Okay, and so if there's no more questions, like I said, APO practice is for 2 weeks after conference or workshop. We the resource speakers will welcome any questions. You can send to us by email, and then we will answer them in full and send back to you, and you can give to your participant.
Okay. And about the workshop that you said about the APO, if you can share the information, I can pass to.
All right. I'll let you know, because they have not confirmed, because Sri Lanka not confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah. That workshop was supposed to be in August, postponed to November. Now I don't know whether they're going to postpone again.
Oh, okay. Yes, like this, we already postponed 2 times.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Hopefully we can get it in the future. Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe I will ask again, is there any other question from the Facebook? No question. Okay. I think your presentation is quite clear, and okay, I will try to wrap up a little bit in Thai. Okay, so before we going to break เดี๋ยวจะขอสรุปสั้นๆนะคะเพราะจริงๆเดี๋ยวพรุ่งนี้จะมีสรุปอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะก็เท่าที่เราเห็นนะคะก็คือดร.รอดนี่จะพยายามที่จะพูดถึงว่าปัญหาของโควิดเนี่ยมันมีผลกับธุรกิจของโคเชนยังไงบ้างซึ่งตอนแรกที่ดร.รอดนี่เตรียมเนี่ย
เป็นโคเชนทั่วไปพอมีโควิดไปดร.รอนนี่บอกว่าไม่ได้แล้วต้องเปลี่ยนสไลด์ละนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยตัวสไลด์ที่จะมีประเด็นว่าเราจะต้องเตรียมนะคะเดี๋ยวขอเปิดสไลด์ให้ดูนะคะเป็นหน้าที่จะมีสีแดงนะคะหน้านี้นะคะเนี่ยนะคะก็คือประมาณว่าผู้ประกอบการจะต้องรับมือกับสิ่งที่มันเปลี่ยนแปลงยังไงบ้างนะคะอย่างหลายๆสถานประกอบการอาจจะมีstandard นะคะ practice อยู่แล้วแต่เป็น standard practice สำหรับ in general คือสถานการณ์ทั่วไปไม่ใช่สถานการณ์ที่มีเรื่องของโรคระบาดเข้ามาเกี่ยวข้องแล้วเป็นอะไรที่มันสามารถที่จะแพร่กระจายไปได้อย่างง่ายดายมากเราจะสังเกตเห็นมีข่าวว่าตัวไม่ว่าจะเป็นแซลมอนหรือสินค้าอะไรเนี่ยถูกปนเปื้อนด้วยเชื้อโควิดเพราะฉะนั้นมันจะมีปัญหามากเพราะฉะนั้นคำว่า standard คำว่าเรื่องของหลักการเนี่ยมันต้องมีไว้ก่อนนะต้องมีการเทรนนิ่งอบรมนะคะพนักงานแล้วสิ่งที่สำคัญที่ดร.เรานี่พูดก็คือคนก็เป็นเรื่องสำคัญเพราะว่าถ้าเรามีมาตรฐานอะไรเรียบร้อยแล้วแต่คนไม่ปฏิบัติตามนะคะก็เป็นไปไม่ได้แล้วก็ขนาดสิงคโปร์เองเป็นประเทศที่พัฒนาแล้วเนี่ยเขาก็ยังบอกว่าไม่เจอปัญหาไม่เคยเจอปัญหานี้มาก่อนแล้วก็เขาเริ่มจากใช้เงินเนี่ยแก้ปัญหาคือเขามีเงินใช่ไหมคะเขาก็บอกว่าดร.เรานี่ก็บอกว่าแต่ไม่ใช่ว่าใช้เงินแล้วจะแก้ปัญหาได้ขนาดนั้นมันก็บางอย่างเขาก็รู้สึกว่ามันก็ไม่ได้เหมือนแบบลงทุนไปแต่ก็ไม่ได้ช่วยอะไรมากเหมือนแบบตำน้ำพริกละลายแม่น้ำอะไรประมาณนี้นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นต้องสีแดงที่เน้นนะคะก็คือเรื่องของ life cycle management นะคะเรื่องของการ shelf life management ไม่ว่าจะต้องมีการจัดการเหมือนแบบจะดูว่าตั้งแต่ผลิตเลยสินค้าออกมาเนี่ยซัพพลายเออร์เป็นใครมายังไงนะคะซึ่งตรงนี้เราจะต้องอาศัยเรื่องของ traceability นะคะเรื่องของการตามสอบหรือการตรวจสอบย้อนกลับนะคะถ้าเราไม่ทราบแหล่งที่มาเราไม่รู้ว่าซัพพลายเออร์เราเนี่ยสามารถที่จะรับมือกับการปนเปื้อนตรงนี้ได้หรือเปล่าก็จะทำให้ตามสิ่งที่ตามมาเนี่ยก็อาจจะมีผลเสียนะคะในซัพพลายเชนเรื่องของการควบคุมสิ่งแวดล้อมนะคะคือเป็น control atmosphere ไม่ใช่แค่อุณหภูมิอย่างเดียวนะคะเมื่อกี้ดร.เรานี่ก็บอกทั้งอุณหภูมิทั้งเรื่องของความชื้นนะคะแล้วก็มีผลด้วยอาจจะเป็นแบบก๊าซต่างๆอะไรเงี้ยมันอาจจะมีผลก็ได้ยิ่งตัวอย่างที่บอกว่ามีการส่งพวกสิ่งมีชีวิตอย่างเงี้ยนะคะมันอาจจะเกิดความเสียหายได้นะคะเพราะว่าต้องดูว่าระหว่างการขนส่งเนี่ยมันต้องควบคุมอะไรบ้างนะคะไม่ใช่แค่อุณหภูมิอย่างเดียวนะคะแต่เพียงแต่ว่าตัวหลักๆที่วันนี้ดร.รอดนี่ก็คือพูดถึงเรื่องของอาหารนะคะแต่เดี๋ยววิทยากรท่านถัดไปก็จะมีพูดถึงสินค้าตัวอื่นด้วยนะคะแล้วก็หลังจากนั้นเนี่ยก็เป็นเรื่องของ distribution ละถ้าเกิดว่า distribution เนี่ยมีปัญหานะคะหรือว่าเจอเรื่องของการปิดพอร์ตบ้างละนะปิดพรมแดนบ้างละอันนี้ก็จะเป็นปัญหาที่โลจิสติกก็ไม่สามารถขนของเข้ามาได้เขาก็เลยพูดถึงว่าเลยต้องมีเริ่มต้องคิดละจะให้สตาร์ทอัพทำอะไรทำurban agriculture ไหม urban farming ไหมเมื่อกี้จะมีภาพใช่ไหมคะที่บอกว่าบนตึกสูงๆเนี่ยเราก็เอาตู้คอนเทนเนอร์เก่าไปวางนะคะแล้วก็ทำเป็น green house อะไรเงี้ยเราอาจจะต้องคิดถึงจุดนั้นนะคะเพราะว่าสิงคโปร์เขาบอกว่าถ้าสิงคโปร์ต้องนำเข้าอาหารอย่างเดียวเนี่ยก็จะลำบากแต่สำหรับประเทศไทยเราผลิตอาหารได้ในประเทศแล้วเราก็ส่งออกนะเพราะฉะนั้นปัญหาก็คือคนผลิตเนี่ยอยู่นอกกรุงเทพจะทำยังไงให้ขนเข้ามาโดยที่ไม่มีปัญหาได้นะคะเพราะว่าระหว่างช่วงที่มีวิกฤตโควิดก็ได้ทำวิจัยเรื่องนี้เหมือนกันก็มีปัญหาพอสมควรนะคะแต่ก็หลายฝ่ายก็พยายามที่จะร่วมมือกันแก้ปัญหาเพื่อให้การขนส่งสินค้าเนี่ยไปให้ได้อย่างรวดเร็วที่สุดนะแต่ช่วงแรกก็แน่นอนนะคะต้องมีปัญหาบ้างนะคะว่าเรื่องของแบบต้องมีเอกสารไปยื่นอะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะคนขับไม่มีเอกสารก็ไปไม่ได้อะไรเงี้ยก็จะเป็นปัญหาเรื่องของจุกจิกนะก็ทำให้การขนส่งเนี่ยช่วงแรกล่าช้าไปบ้างนะคะพอช่วงหลังเขาก็พยายามที่จะปรับตัวได้มากขึ้นนะคะสิ่งที่จะตามมาก็เป็นเรื่องของการปรับตัวให้เข้ากับเรื่องของ e-commerce นะคะเรื่องของ autonomous delivery นะคะก็คือตอนนี้เมืองไทยเราอาจจะยังไม่ค่อยเห็นแต่ว่าหลายๆประเทศเนี่ยเขาเริ่มใช้แล้วไม่ว่าจะใช้โรบอทใช้โดรนในการส่งของนะแต่ว่าต้นทุนก็อาจจะยังสูงอยู่นะคะถ้าเราสามารถทำให้ต้นทุนต่ำได้แล้วก็ต้องลองดูว่าจะเป็นไปได้ไหมนะคะในเมืองไทยก็อาจจะต้องดูเรื่องกฎหมายหรือกฎระเบียบอะไรหลายๆอย่างด้วยนะคะถ้าเราจะใช้โดรนนะคะแล้วก็เรื่องของที่เป็นสีแดงอีกตัวหนึ่งที่อยู่ขวามือทางนี้ก็คือ autonomous delivery confirmation เราจะรู้ได้ไงว่า คือส่งไปถึงอะแล้วได้หรือเปล่าเอาไปวางไว้ตรงไหนนะคะวันก่อนอาจารย์ก็ได้เห็นนะเป็นประเทศอินโดนีเซียเขาก็มีการส่งโดยโดรนเนี่ยแหละค่ะแล้วก็ส่งไปที่อพาร์ตเมนต์นะคะก็แสดงว่าก็หลายประเทศก็เริ่มมีใช้แล้วนะคะนี่ก็เป็นสรุปโดยภาพรวมนะคะของที่ทางดร.โรดนี่พูดกล่าวถึงว่าแล้วก็สไลด์สุดท้ายยังมีพูดถึงเช็คลิสต์นะคะที่จะให้เรานะคะอยู่ในซัมมารีเหมือนเราจะเช็คลิสต์ออกมาได้ว่าเรามีการ implement นะคะ ICT มีเรื่องของการปรับใช้ network พวกของอินเทอร์เน็ตยังไงบ้างให้มันสอดคล้องกับสถานการณ์คือเราต้องปรับตัวให้ได้ไม่งั้นเราก็จะมีปัญหานะคะแต่ว่าดร.รอดนี่ก็ชมนะคะว่าประเทศไทยเนี่ยถือว่ารับมือได้ดีแล้วก็จะเป็นผู้นำของทางฝั่ง Southeast Asia นะคะคือเอเชียตะวันตกเฉียงใต้ไม่ว่าจะเป็นเวียดนามหรือกัมพูชาเขาบอกเขาก็รอเราอยู่นะเราที่จะทำตามเราอยู่นะคะก็ประมาณนี้นะคะถ้าเกิดใครมีคำถามนะคะเขียนมาก็ได้นะคะแล้วเดี๋ยวจะมอบให้ดังดร.รอดนี่เพราะว่าเดี๋ยวเราก็ยังอยู่ด้วยกันอยู่ถึงช่วงเที่ยงนะคะ
ครับก็ขอบคุณดร.พรทิพานะครับที่ช่วยสรุปนะครับเนื้อหาใจความสำคัญให้กับพวกเรานะครับในช่วงถัดไปนะครับก็จะเชิญทุกท่านนะครับเราจะพักเบรกกันประมาณ15นาทีนะครับแล้วก็อยากจะขอเรียนเชิญทุกท่านกลับมานะครับประมาณสักเป็น10นาฬิกา30นาทีนะครับส่วนของเบรกจะอยู่บริเวณด้านหน้านะครับห้องน้ำก็จะอยู่ทางด้านซ้ายมือหน้าห้องนะครับพบกันอีกทีหนึ่ง10นาฬิกา30นาทีนะครับ
We are the Asian Productivity Organization. We help people in the Asia-Pacific region become more productive and enjoy a better quality of life. We act as catalyst, think tank, information clearinghouse, regional advisor, and institution builder.
And I watch from here.
We help SMEs become more innovative, competitive, and resilient. We help communities develop through entrepreneurial interventions. We facilitate networking among stakeholders to strengthen supply chains. We foster regional exchanges and cooperation. We contribute to green productivity and greener economies. We engage in research to identify productivity needs and drive policy formulation. We enhance the capacity of national productivity organizations to lead growth locally. We share best practices to make services more effective and efficient. The APO helped the team at Shirira Hospital adopt lean principles to enhance the delivery of healthcare.
APO have given us the opportunity to learn and think out of the box to learn about lean principle. We don't focus on the cost. We focus on the waste. Where is the overproduction? Where the wasting is? Cut all these waste. You can imagine that the cost will going down significantly. The value also went up. I think lean is one of the answers for the healthcare in the future.
Dr. Cherchai's team is now sharing their success story with colleagues throughout the region. We introduce new productivity tools and technologies. After a 6-month total quality management project with a Japanese expert assigned by the APO, Autokeen reorganized workspaces, identified quality issues, and redesigned processes and equipment for greater efficiency.
We had a new customer come to our place to look into our hinge assembly process. They feel that it's good, but it's not yet good enough for them. We go back to the TKM, looking to improve the process. We come up with the idea of designing a jig. With that, we can reduce the cycle time. Customer come back here and do the audit. They start giving a new order to us.
Today, Autokeen is expanding operations to meet the demands of new customers. We work in agriculture to make it more sustainable and productive. With knowledge from APO projects, Pasita One empowers female entrepreneurs to enhance the agricultural value chain.
Working smarter means knowing what the market wants. Who will tell that to the producer? They're not in the city. They don't know the specialty markets. They also don't know how to dress up for the market. People want to know who made it, where it was made, how it was made, who the producer is. What is she all about? We help tell the story to fit
upscale markets, specialty markets, and eventually global markets.
Pasita and her colleagues are helping Filipinas and Filipinos participate in local and global economies and enjoy a better quality of life. We promote environment-friendly technologies, planting the seeds for inclusive, sustainable growth. For example, plant factory innovations at Chiba University are shared throughout the region to resolve food shortages.
It's a kind of advanced form of greenhouse horticulture. You need a very small area to produce large amount of vegetable using a limited resource and energy, local production or local consumption.
Yields 100 times higher than from open fields. Harvests anywhere in any weather. That's the promise of plant factories we're helping explore. We're moving forward with e-learning and advanced databases, applying information technology to reach a wider audience. We conduct training and develop trainers, creating multiplier effects. We're contributing to sustainable socioeconomic growth throughout Asia and the Pacific. We are the APO. We are the Asian Productivity Organization. We help people in the Asia-Pacific region become more productive and enjoy a better quality of life. We act as catalyst, think tank, information clearinghouse, regional advisor, and institution builder. We help SMEs become more innovative, competitive, and resilient. We help communities develop through entrepreneurial interventions.
Chilled and frozen items, primarily foodstuffs, undergo various processes during their delivery from the producer to the consumer. They may be transported in lots while passing through processing plants and warehouse storage to destinations such as retail stores and restaurants. They may be transported as parcels, the smallest unit, in frequent small quantity deliveries from retail stores or the like in accordance with individual detailed needs. Or they may be parcels of agricultural products delivered to consumers directly. ISO 23412 is the international standard for the transportation of such refrigerated parcels within the scope of cold chain logistics. With the expansion of the e-commerce market, the cold chain logistics market has grown dramatically in recent years. Going forward, the demand for refrigerated parcel delivery services is expected to show strong growth worldwide. Refrigerated parcel delivery services are a convenient and reasonably priced option as a way to transport chilled and frozen items, and such services are expanding all around the world thanks to the increase in online transactions in the food industry. The objective of ISO 23412 is that refrigerated delivery service providers will improve the quality and consistency of their services. This could enable service users to make a more informed choice when selecting a refrigerated delivery service from amongst the many options available, and could boost consumer trust in refrigerated delivery services in general. ISO 23412 will not merely lead to logistics businesses providing good refrigerated delivery services. The expansion of services based on this ISO will enable shippers to provide products swiftly and with reasonable shipping prices. Consumers will be able to get fresh products quickly and safely. This will not only boost convenience, but also create a virtuous circle that will benefit society as a whole. For example, by the development of safe refrigerated transport infrastructure and support for the business of SMEs, such as retail stores and restaurants. ISO 23412 covers acceptance of parcels from the service user, intermediate transfer of the refrigerated parcels between refrigerated vehicles, and delivery to the recipients, including unspecified numbers of individual customers. In other words, all the refrigerated parcel delivery service processes in land transport, utilizing what is generally referred to as the hub and spoke model. The internal temperature of the refrigerator and freezer compartments of the vehicle being used is required to be kept to the service transport temperature. ISO 23412 covers more than just the handling of refrigerated items. It includes a wide range of requirements concerning the launch, provision, conditions, monitoring, and improvement of services. The topics covered include the transportation network structure, the information to be exchanged between the refrigerated delivery service provider and the delivery service user, equipment such as cold stores and cooling materials, and staff training. Going forward, the refrigerated parcel delivery market will expand even further. With logistics needs becoming ever more nuanced, ISO 23412 underpins a social framework where chilled and frozen items are delivered safely with a reliable level of quality and speed. Not limited to service users nor consumers, it aims to enrich the lives and future of all stakeholders. Chilled and frozen items, primarily foodstuffs, undergo various processes during their delivery from the producer to the consumer. They may be transported in lots while passing through processing plants and warehouse storage to destinations such as retail stores and restaurants. They may be transported as parcels, the smallest unit, in frequent small quantity deliveries from retail stores or the like, in accordance with individual detailed needs, or they may be parcels of agricultural products delivered to consumers directly. ISO 23412 is the international standard for the transportation of such refrigerated parcels within the scope of cold chain logistics. With the expansion of the e-commerce market, the cold chain logistics market has grown dramatically in recent years. Going forward, the demand for refrigerated parcel delivery services is expected to show strong growth worldwide. Refrigerated parcel delivery services are a convenient and reasonably priced option as a way to transport chilled and frozen items, and such services are expanding all around the world thanks to the increase in online transactions in the food industry. The objective of ISO 23412 is that refrigerated delivery service providers will improve the quality and consistency of their services. This could enable service users to make a more informed choice when selecting a refrigerated delivery service from amongst the many options available, and could boost consumer trust in refrigerated delivery services in general. ISO 23412 will not merely lead to logistics businesses providing good refrigerated delivery services. The expansion of services based on this ISO will enable shippers to provide products swiftly and with reasonable shipping prices. Consumers will be able to get fresh products quickly and safely. This will not only boost convenience, but also create a virtuous circle that will benefit society as a whole. For example, by the development of safe refrigerated transport infrastructure and support for the business of SMEs, such as retail stores and restaurants. ISO 23412 covers acceptance of parcels from the service user, intermediate transfer of the refrigerated parcels between refrigerated vehicles, and delivery to the recipients, including unspecified numbers of individual customers. In other words, all the refrigerated parcel delivery service processes in land transport, utilizing what is generally referred to as the hub and spoke model. The internal temperature of the refrigerator and freezer compartments of the vehicle being used is required to be kept to the service transport temperature. ISO 23412 covers more than just the handling of refrigerated items. It includes a wide range of requirements concerning the launch, provision, conditions, monitoring, and improvement of services. The topics covered include the transportation network structure, the information to be exchanged between the refrigerated delivery service provider and the delivery service user, equipment such as cold stores and cooling materials, and staff training. Going forward, the refrigerated parcel delivery market will expand even further. With logistics needs becoming ever more nuanced, ISO 23412 underpins a social framework where chilled and frozen items are delivered safely with a reliable level of quality and speed. Not limited to service users nor consumers, it aims to enrich the lives and future of all stakeholders. Chilled and frozen items, primarily foodstuffs, undergo various processes during their delivery from the producer to the consumer. They may be transported in lots while passing through processing plants and warehouse storage to destinations such as retail stores and restaurants. They may be transported as parcels, the smallest unit, in frequent small quantity deliveries from retail stores or the like in accordance with individual detailed needs. Or they may be parcels of agricultural products delivered to consumers directly. ISO 23412 is the international standard for the transportation of such refrigerated parcels within the scope of cold chain logistics. With the expansion of the e-commerce market, the cold chain logistics market has grown dramatically in recent years. Going forward, the demand for refrigerated parcel delivery services is expected to show strong growth worldwide. Refrigerated parcel delivery services are a convenient and reasonably priced option as a way to transport chilled and frozen items, and such services are expanding all around the world thanks to the increase in online transactions in the food industry. The objective of ISO 23412 is that refrigerated delivery service providers will improve the quality and consistency of their services. This could enable service users to make a more informed choice when selecting a refrigerated delivery service from amongst the many options available, and could boost consumer trust in refrigerated delivery services in general. ISO 23412 will not merely lead
honored to have an opportunity to introduce the cold chain logistics in Taiwan. The voice from Taiwan, I'm Bai-Sheng Chen. That's my CV for your information. All right, my presentation is divided into 5 parts. First of all, the ICT application for cold chain logistics. This framework is the ICT application of Taiwan. The structure includes the order from retailer, from the demand side to the supply side, and the ship to the consumer. On the demand side, on the demand side, they are retailers or consumers. Retailers send orders to the headquarters by post, and the consumers send orders by web or apps to the manufacturer or brand. The supply side is shipped to the logistics center. The logistics center uses RF technology to confirm the item and the quantity of incoming goods. The information system for the picking operation includes WMS, and the automation system includes CAPS and the AGV. The warehouse data is collected and unloaded in the real time through IoT technology, and the operation can be controlled. Of course, for the temperature control products such as fresh food, milk, medicine, red wine, and so on. They must be stored in the cold storage to ensure the temperature stability. For the distribution operations, DC used the dedicated vehicle to delivery to the retailers. Third-party logistics here use the consolidated delivery and also use the RF technology to confirm the goods from pickup goods, and use TMS, it means Transportation Management System, for route planning, vehicle management, and personal management for vehicle distribution during the delivery. In the vehicle cold chain management, the temperature of cabin is recorded by temperature log and transmitted to the cloud system by GPS. So in Taiwan, the service label is order today and arrival tomorrow. Regarding the temperature sensitivity of cold chain, drugs and the vaccine are the most sensitive, especially the COVID-19 vaccines must be stored and transferred at minus 17 degrees Celsius. The secondary sensitive is dry products such as ice cream, milk, desserts. Next is milk and fresh products. The latest sensitive are the agricultural products such as food and vegetables, as you know. The characteristic of agricultural product in Taiwan is that the source is the planting area. The North Taiwan is the consumption area. So the distance between north and the south is about 500 km. And the temperature difference can reach 5 to 10 Celsius. Therefore, there are many kinds of fruit in Taiwan so sweet because of the time temperature differences, such as banana, pineapple. It takes about 5 hours from North Taiwan to South Taiwan to transport the agricultural products. So, the refrigeration equipment used during the transportation includes cold room, refrigerator truck, storage box, temperature sensor, or pre-cooling refrigerators, like this equipment, cold room. Okay. This slide, I want to introduce the process methodology. When I consulting small size business enterprise, I will use the 5M1E to help the enterprise to process improvement. I think it can be applied to the cold chain logistics management projects. 5M1E includes man machine, focus on the maintenance mechanism, includes forklift, refrigerator truck, sensor, or by Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, that's okay. Refrigeration control machine. The second main method for storage and the distribution control. No matter loading, unloading, cold bags packaging, real-time monitoring by web or app. The third M is material. Contains cold and packaging. Measurement focus on temperature validation for warehouse and transportation by using recorders to ensure the temperature stability. In addition, management set up the KPI such as delivery rate, square rate to process improvement. The last M is man, of course. And then finally, the environment includes buffer area must be monitoring the temperature and the humidity in the real time where or continuous monitoring to do the tracking and tracing. The slide title is multi-temperature and joint delivery. This slide, I used the literature to demo how the cold bath running. There are 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to do the demo. First, put the lecture into the cold bath and put the cold pack into the cold bath and pack and ship according to the store address. And truck stacking and the distribution, finally receiving from the store. The advantage of using this method with cold bath, it can be delivered together with normal temperature products without refrigeration because this is the advantage to use the cold bath. Okay. The second part, I want to introduce the good distribution practice of cold chain. The GDP, it means the guideline is based on the EU guidelines in good distribution practice for the medical products. Taiwan implemented the GDP in 2016. Wholesale distribution of medical product is all activity consistent of producing, holding, supplying, importing, or exporting medical products apart from supplying medical products to the public. GDP guidelines lay down apportionment tools to assist wholesaler distributors in conducting their activities to prevent the forced medicine from entering the legal supply chain. Compliance with these guidelines will ensure the control of supply chain and consequently maintain the quality and the integrity of medical products. I also use the GDP contents in my classes to the pharmaceutical related activities. So, in summarize, the GDP focus 3, safety, fitness, quality. Safety means avoid medical products, damage, shift, and temperature losses. The operator must be well trained and the equipment available. So, in fitness, it means immediately handling of exception emergency record, and also maintain the storage environment and the distribution in the certain stable temperature. Quality. Maintain the quality and the integrity of medical products, on-time delivery to the medical channel. Yes? Move to just wait a moment. It's okay? Hello? 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 Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I hear you. Could you move it down?
Okay.
And could you turn on your webcam? Sorry for interrupt.
Okay, that's fine. So I also showed my slide, right?
Yes, please show slide again.
Right, it's okay? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. So the GP guideline includes 9 chapters. Input and output. Input includes the premise and the equipment, personal training activities. Process include operations, outsource activities, and of course, self-inspection and quality management. Output include transport, complaints handling, return, and recalls. Of course, any logistic operation of data, table, documents must be stored. Okay. There are 5 parts of the medical cold chain logistics in compliance with GDP regulations, including receive, storage, picking, shipment, delivery. All the activities must be in distribution with traceability, temperature tracking, and trace. These 5 steps for your reference. Of course, all the supply chain must to ensure the medical quality and safety. This slide summarizes the BDP focus. The price side to the demand side. The management information system is most of all to do the good GDP mechanisms. Operations like temperature mapping or transmission center and the trucks. Documentation include work instruction, SOP, even videos. Of course, self-inspection enable to do one or two the self-auditor and keep the records. Even the pest control also write down into the SOP. The transportation, of course, the most important is the temperature monitoring records, including the table, data, and the temperature record. So the challenges for the pharmaceutical temperature control is GDP rules on the transportation of medicines and vaccines may need to control the change of code and the hotspot in the space. Like this, the hotspot and the cold spot must be to identify to ensure the temperature variability. So the SAS method is a time consumption, laboratory, and costly because we have to set the temperature record in the cartridge to do the mapping to find out the hot spot and the cold spot and the monitoring Of course, to be the method is used IoT. So we can get the temperature data real time. And the records must be a data backup. Of course, when occurs the exception, it must be a sound or test allowed to do the exceptional handling. All right. This slide, I want to show the information technology to use the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi to do the real-time temperature control. Okay, I will introduce later, all right? Third, the cold chain logistics technology. The cold chain new technology in logistics is authorized by E3. It means Industrial Technology Resource Institute. We build up all the equipment and the software system in Takming University of Science and Technology. So the cold chain solution from basic cooling technology to temperature monitoring, like a cold pack with a fine temperature, rapid frozen machine without energy. It can maintain the refrigeration from 15 to 48 hours and frozen for 8 to 24 hours. The temperature of white cold pack can reach -2 degrees Celsius. Red -11 degrees Celsius, and the yellow -16 degrees Celsius. Blue -21 or -25 degrees Celsius without any energy. So use the rapid freezing machine to freeze the cold packs. In the temperature monitoring, the sensor is used the temperature of the cold bath, cartridge or storage, and upload the temperature data to the cloud system through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. It can be monitored in real time by your mobile and web. For the real-time management of information system, there are quality management system, tracking system, WMS, TMS, to do the real-time management. Next is the cold bath and the cold pack. This type of cold baths are portable, backpack, and floating. The cold chain service device is a cold pack, cold baths, cold containers. This all is frequently driving doors, consolidation containers, and transforming and change cars. This equipment all suitable for the short distance, like a home delivery. The cold pack with 4 colors is really convenient, and the cold pack are just like also lightweight. For example, like a white cold pack, just 2 kilograms, The other kind of cold baths for the long-lasting type. Okay. The long-lasting type is suitable for the intercity transportation, such as food and vegetables harvest and the delivery to the chain store. Okay. Lightweight type is suitable for half-day delivery. For example, the e-commerce fridge order or store delivery is suitable for delivery with these cold bags. But there is a restriction. That is, it must be to recycle the cold bags. Okay. And also the cold packs. The foldable cold bags is suitable for drug distribution at from 2 to 8 degrees Celsius within 12 hours, and the log can be placed in the cold bath for monitoring. The backpack, just like a kind of delivery pizza, right? It's also suitable for the city delivery, like home delivery. Okay. The cold container. This is the refrigerated mobile containers suitable for the distribution in supermarket. For example, in Taiwan, the chain store of Carrefour, about 100 stores in Taiwan, use this cold container for delivery fresh food. These containers can maintain the frozen with 24 hours and refrigerate 48 hours. This is a cold bath with a multiple temperature. It means normal temperature for the refrigeration. Okay. All right, I want to give us some example for case study for cold chain logistics and the route of my school. This is a real case, okay? This is the consultant medical distribution center. Sensors are installed in storage at from 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. The temperature of each cold storage room can be monitored through the digital control panel. It must maintain 2 to 8 degrees. If the temperature is abnormal, such as over 8 degrees or less than 2 degrees, there will be a sound alarm on site, and the manager will receive the test alarm from his mobile phone. Okay. This line, the title is a real-time temperature monitoring for transportation. This is the map of Taiwan. No, from south to north about 5 hours. In the pharmaceutical distribution, all trucks equipment the GPS with the temperature monitoring and the geographically information system. The temperature sensor are installed in the freight car, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and the vehicle status, like this. This offline, in driving, okay, arrival, right? And the vehicle status and the temperature. Temperature here. Yeah, temperature here. Okay. Record in the real time. So the temperature can upload to the cloud system, and the measurement can monitor the every car's carburetor's temperature in real time measure. Okay. All right, this is the revegetation truck to deliver the pharmaceutical. Because temperature log, this is the log, input 2 in the revegetation room. And the normal room also set up 2 records. Okay. All delivery, I included 4 log to record the delivery temperature. It means the revegetation room and the normal room. So the enhancement method is used the IoT log with the GPS or Bluetooth to upload the real-time temperature data, even by the mobile phone apps. Okay. This is the documentation. After downloading the temperature recorded data, the curve, right? The curve of the 2 log layers must be displayed automatically. The best delivery time here, almost about 8 hours. 8 hours. Because the curve it shows stable. In other words, the medicine must be delivered to the hospital within 9 hours, which is very suitable for delivery in the same city. Okay. This data and the documents must be retained as the quality auditor and the certification document. This slide, the title is Management of Cold Chain Quality, Fresh Shipping and Traceability. This slide shows how to track and trace the management through the IoT technology. Bluetooth used to data collection, and the database storage the product and the vehicle temperature. So in doing so, we can do the temperature tracking and the tracing. This is in Taiwan to do the supermarket delivery, use the refrigerator gauge and unload to the truck, to the distribution center to do the sorting area and the delivery to the chain store. Okay. So how to do the in real-time management? So we monitor the correct storage and transportation temperature. Okay. Oh, next. This is the other example. This is the Taipei regional distribution center for the fish milk. Put the fish milk button on the logistic basket and the stack lane with plastic pallet. The storage temperature is maintained at 4 degrees Celsius. So, and that's the first in, first out management method. The stacking method of trucks must be maintained the air condition outlet space so that the cooling air can convention in the compartment. Okay. The truck rear door is equipped with a door curtain to reduce the leakage of cold air when the door is open. In doing so, the cabin temperature during the transportation must be maintained at 4 degrees as much as possible. This is the curve of the cabin temperature recorders. The peak indicates 1, 2, 3, 4. It means the temperature of the unloading is increased to 12 degrees. And then the temperature dropped to about 4 degrees. So in indicating the door, the plastic curtain is effective. Another case is organic apple delivery with cold bags. This is the organic apple after the harvest. Put the apple into the cold storage about 4 degrees Celsius. When the delivery to the train store, we use the cold bags with the 2 white cold packs. Okay. And the truck loading, finally, the 2 delivery to the train store with room temperature delivery. Okay. Please know that it is not necessary to use the normal temperature vehicle to deliver. Okay. So the challenges for the cold chain management. For the temperature sensor challenge, power durability, performance stability. Of course, information and any data is not missing. And the sensor accuracy is less than 0.4 degrees Celsius. Of course, the selling price is the key to be implemented in the enterprises. For the management system, the temperature can continuously recorded, analyzed, and alarm. Even use the AI software to analyze the big data of temperature. Integrated temperature history through the platform to effectiveness managing suppliers, distributors, logistics providers. Okay. So the temperature sensor with a smart device like Bluetooth and the smart monitoring methods like mobile apps. And finally, to do the prevention and the traceability network system, it means the cloud management service. Okay. Oh, this is the laboratory of cold chain in my school. The VR. Takming University of Science and Technology commercial ITRI to deliver the cold chain AR/VR in 2018 with an investment of approximately 3 billion. The main purpose is to allow students to simulate the actual logistics operations through AR and VR. This slide is an AR scenario with 3 logistics operations. First, unloading, receiving, and put away. Okay. This is the AR. There are 4 types of operations in the AR logistics scenario, and a total of 8 procedures. The first of is receiving operations, which includes receiving and measuring weight in the volume. The second is order picking, including replenishment and the caps operations. The third is the sorting operations, including the automatical labeling and the sorting to the barcode of the address. Finally, the shipping, including the refrigerated packaging and the unloading. I'm very welcome to Taiwan to experience AR and VR when the COVID-19 is over. Okay. We also provide service to the on-job training. We also assist the International Society of Logistics, it means the level 2 certification, the demonstrate senior logistics, the course is the cold chain storage and the transportation. Okay, right. Okay, this is the left side. Most of part of the cold chain logistics is the SOP and the equipment sentence. So the adequate training, implementation of sales auditor, and completed implementation of operating specification and SOP. In doing so, it can be ensure the quality of cold chain operations and protect the quality. 5N1E is a good process management method for your information. Protecting the cold chain communities and improving logistic efficiency are the key to profits. Using IoT in cold chain warehousing and the distribution can improve the management efficiencies. So the TMUST used the AI and VR to increase the students' understanding of cold chain practical operations. That's my slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chen. Right now, there are 2 questions from the floor. So let's start from the first one. Is there any criteria to develop?
Hello?
Hello, do you hear me?
Hello?
Oh, maybe.
Hello?
Dr. Chen, do you hear me?
有时候切换就会当掉。Hello? Dr. Morrow, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so there are 2 questions right now from the floor. So the first one is, what is the criteria to select the different co-pack? Oh, sorry, it's not co-pack. It's for the joint temperature track. There are two interval of the temperature, right? On slide 32, is there any criteria to select what should be the temperature in the truck, or how you're going to design this area? Because I think in the PowerPoint there are 2 types of temperature, right? It's slide 32.
32.
Let me share the screen so we can go to slide 32.
35号。32. Oh.
So this is there are 2 types of temperature, right? So what is the criteria to select what should be the temperature interval in each part? There are 2 parts, right? The first one is 2 degrees to 8 degrees Celsius, the second part is 15 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. Actually, in Thailand, this one is still called the refrigerated one because normally the temperature is about 30 degrees or more. So how to design the temperature? So it's like it depends on the product or other. Is it flexible for the refrigeration system?
Okay. This example is the pharmaceutical distribution. Okay. So the pharmaceutical like vaccine must be stored and transported within the 2 to 8 weeks there. All right. So we put one to log to record the data. Of course, the other example like milk, fruit and vegetable, you can use the log to test the validity, the temperature validity to find out the hot spot and the cold spot. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Then the second question, we see that we can use the cool pack and the cold box, right? So in case of the SME, the small and medium enterprise, if they use this cool box during the transportation and using ice instead of cool pack, okay, is it needed to refrigerate the truck or it's okay to use the normal truck?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that it might be different in Taiwan and in Thailand, but during summer in Taiwan, I think the temperature should be similar to Thailand, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So is there any problem in the past that they use the cool pack? They use the ice or cool pack and put it in the cold box and use the normal truck to transport.
There is a little echo, right? Okay. Dr. Morrow, you mean you asked me a question. If you can use the cold pack.
No,
use pack in Thailand.
Yeah, actually we use ice with we just use ice and put it in the foam box and put it in the normal truck. Anyway, the transportation depends on the distance as well, right? If we pack the product from the south and it will deliver to the north, it might take like more than 20 hours. So I think there might be a problem, but I'm not sure about in Taiwan because you said that from the south to north is take how long? That like how far from south to north?
All right. Actually, I hope the SME in Taiwan to use the cold pack, to maintain the delivery within 2 to 8 degrees Celsius within 24 hours. Why 24 hours? Why 24 hours? Because the delivery service level in Taiwan is order today and arrival tomorrow. So we designed the 24 hours, the temperature control bus to reach the service level.
Okay. So it means that if we use the cool pack that already designed for 24 hours within this temperature length, it will be okay. But I think for ice, we need to do the experiment because I think for ice maybe, I don't know how long does it take until it melt, and then the temperature might change rapidly, and then the product will be like the temperature of product will be increased. Okay, so now I think we about run out of time. So thank you very much, Dr. Chen, for your presentation and answering the question. So let's go to the next presentation. Let me go back to.
All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Chen. Okay, so now เดี๋ยวท่านที่3นะคะก็จะเป็นมิสโซจินะคะจากยามาโตะเจแปนนะคะก็มิสโซจิคิมนะคะโซจิ are you there Miss Solji
Yes,
okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so could you turn on the camera?
Okay.
Okay, ระหว่างรอนะคะคือมิสโซจิคิมเป็น Assistant Manager International Strategy นะคะของบริษัท Yamato Holding นะคะเจแปนวันนี้ก็น่าจะพูดถึงเรื่องของมาตรฐานที่เป็น global standard นะคะซึ่งได้คุยกันเบื้องต้นบอกว่าเป็นตัวใหม่มากเลยแล้วก็ทางบริษัท Yamato เนี่ยเรียกว่าเป็นบริษัทแรกที่ได้รับการ certify ตัว ISO 23412นะเลขอาจจะแบบเรียงนิด1234112นะคะโอเคนะคะเดี๋ยวจะขอมอบเวทีให้กับมิสโซจิโอเคมิสโซจิ now is your time is your
Okay, can you see my slide? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim from Yamato Holding. I'm honored to be here from Japan, and I will be speaking about new global standard for cold chain parcel delivery service, which is ISO 23412. It's the very new standard, so you might not be familiar with this standard yet. So today I will introduce what it is and what the significance of utilizing this standard is. As I told you, I am working in Yamato Holding, and I'm in charge of international strategy. So here is the brief agenda of my presentation. And first, I will talk about what is ISO 23412 and the benefits of utilizing ISO 23412. And the last but least, the significance of collaborative actions. So firstly, please allow me to introduce my company and the main business. So our headquarters is in Tokyo, Japan, and it was founded in 1919. And our main business is door-to-door parcel delivery services. The brand name is Takming. And also the door-to-door refrigerated parcel delivery services, which brand name is Takming. And we have been providing this service from 1988 in Japan. And also, as you can see the picture on the bottom side, the right side, SCG is a joint venture company with Yamato in Thailand, and also providing the door-to-door parcel delivery services and also the door-to-door refrigerated parcel delivery services in Thailand from 2017. As I mentioned, the parcel delivery service is our main business, And for your understanding, let me show you this illustrative flow chart of cold chain logistics throughout supply chain. From farm to consumers, there are various methods of transportation. Here, the red arrows describe mainly parcel delivery, relatively small lot, frequent delivery. As you can see here, from warehouse to store or restaurant, or e-commerce, online shopping to consumer, or even from farm or fishery to directly to the consumers. You can use this parcel delivery, refrigerated delivery service. So as online shopping is expanding these days, parcel delivery is becoming more important. This chart illustrates market growth of temperature controlled parcels in accordance with the economic growth. Here you can see Japan and China show the similar growth patterns, and also in ASEAN countries with current remarkable development of IT and the impact of COVID-19, it is expected to grow more faster. However, in terms of quality and reliability for this kind of cold chain parcel delivery, there are still some potential risk of insufficient temperature control on operation and facilities and equipment and so on. So today, I would like to introduce and suggest to utilize international standards for reliable cold chain parcel delivery services. That is ISO 23412. It is the international standard and developed by International Standard Organization. The development was started from 2018 and published on May this year, on 28th May. As you can see, the title, it is for cold chain parcel delivery service provider. So here, let me show you introduction video of this standard. Dr. Moore, could you play the video for this? Okay.
Chilled and frozen items, primarily foodstuffs, undergo various processes during their delivery from the producer to the consumer. They may be transported in lots while passing through processing plants and warehouse storage to destinations such as retail stores and restaurants. They may be transported as parcels, the smallest unit, in frequent small quantity deliveries from retail stores or the like in accordance with individual detailed needs. Or they may be parcels of agricultural products delivered to consumers directly. ISO 23412 is the international standard for the transportation of such refrigerated parcels within the scope of cold chain logistics. With the expansion of the e-commerce market, the cold chain logistics market has grown dramatically in recent years. Going forward, the demand for refrigerated parcel delivery services is expected to show strong growth worldwide. Refrigerated parcel delivery services are a convenient and reasonably priced option as a way to transport chilled and frozen items, and such services are expanding all around the world thanks to the increase in online transactions in the food industry. The objective of ISO 23412 is that refrigerated delivery service providers will improve the quality and consistency of their services. This could enable service users to make a more informed choice when selecting a refrigerated delivery service from amongst the many options available, and could boost consumer trust in refrigerated delivery services in general. ISO 23412 will not merely lead to logistics businesses providing good refrigerated delivery services. The expansion of services based on this ISO will enable shippers to provide products swiftly and with reasonable shipping prices. Consumers will be able to get fresh products quickly and safely. This will not only boost convenience, but also create a virtuous circle that will benefit society as a whole. For example, by the development of safe refrigerated transport infrastructure and support for the business of SMEs, such as retail stores and restaurants. ISO 23412 covers acceptance of parcels from the service user, intermediate transfer of the refrigerated parcels between refrigerated vehicles, and delivery to the recipients, including unspecified numbers of individual customers. In other words, all the refrigerated parcel delivery service processes in land transport, utilizing what is generally referred to as the hub and spoke model. The internal temperature of the refrigerator and freezer compartments of the vehicle being used is required to be kept to the service transport temperature. ISO 23412 covers more than just the handling of refrigerated items. It includes a wide range of requirements concerning the launch, provision, conditions, monitoring, and improvement of services. The topics covered include the transportation network structure, the information to be exchanged between the refrigerated delivery service provider and the delivery service user, equipment such as cold stores and cooling materials, and staff training. Going forward, the refrigerated parcel delivery market will expand even further. With logistics needs becoming ever more nuanced, ISO 23412 underpins a social framework where chilled and frozen items are delivered safely with a reliable level of quality and speed. Not limited to service users nor consumers, it aims to enrich the lives and future of all stakeholders. Chilled and frozen items, primarily foodstuffs, undergo various processes during their delivery.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing the video. So let me go back to this slide. If you, the audience, if you want to watch this video again, you can check the video here, the link, I attached it. Okay. So as you saw in the video, this standard is for refrigerated delivery service. So before developing this standard, there was no relevant standard for this kind of service, which covered the comprehensive requirement for this service. But now we have the standard to adopt for better delivery service, which is ISO 23412. So this is the scope of service process this standard requirement covers. As you watch it, it covers the process from the collection and to delivery at destination. Today I will skip the details of the contents, the requirement of the specific contents of this standard, but I would like to tell that it includes wide range of requirements concerning service launch and provision and monitoring and improvement of this service, which is to provide well-managed temperature-controlled service. And this is the important concept of this standard for providing robust temperature control service. Basically, parcel delivery provider delivered packaged parcel and cannot open the parcel or check the core temperature of the content itself, food itself. Instead, this standard requires to check the control internal temperature of refrigerator or freezer. So this temperature control includes also monitoring and recording of the temperature. So shippers can have more reliability on the delivery service provider who was certified with this standard. As I mentioned, this is an international standard, and for the development, it needs global discussion and consensus among ISO member countries. Thailand was also participating in this development, and I hope the standard now is the time to be utilized in Thailand. Let's move on to the next part of my presentation. As this standard is being utilized by many service providers, we expect to contribute to society, not only for the service providers, by providing reliable logistics services for the infrastructure. We can bring various benefits for stakeholders. Firstly, for the delivery service providers like us, for acquiring this standard, you need to be audited by third-party auditors. That means you can stabilize quality of services and maintain, and you can clarify points to be improved for provision of quality services in a continuous manner. And also for government, they can bring development of safety refrigerated transport infrastructure, which lead industry regional revitalization. And for SMEs, we can support them to grow and expand of their business areas. And for service users like shippers, they can provide consumers their product in a frequent and speedy manner by using these reliable parcel delivery services. And also that allow them to offer products to consumers with reasonable shipping costs. And for consumers, the person who's order in the online shopping can choose and utilize quality service provided to get fresh products and achieve quality of life. We have collected some customers' voice regarding a standard utilization. They said certification enables them to select reliable quality delivery and services. And also they said they could promote to their customers that they are using certified delivery providers. is the last part I want to address today. We hope the continuous G2G government-to-government initiative between Thailand and Japan, which allows industry players to share information or best practice of cold chain industry. And we look forward to having a support in a practical and collaborative way. This is the picture which was held in 2019 in Bangkok. And also, initiatives among industry is important. Like initiatives such as knowledge sharing among the industry is also necessary. For example, in Thailand, the manufacturer of trailer, the Food Hub, is holding an exhibition hall. They are going to open this soon. So if you are interested in, you can visit this kind of exhibition hall, and we can enhance our knowledge sharing among industries. To sum up my today's presentation point, I would like to tell that we need collective action for better cold chain logistics. So from the government side, I hope they can support creating an environment that allows logistics providers to easily adopt the global standards. And also from the academic side, I hope they can keep extending interest and awareness to also even to parcel delivery service that's last mile areas and support through industry academia collaboration. And also from shipper side, I need them to actively communicate with logistics providers to pursue consistency of quality management in the supply chain. And delivery service providers like us, as a last mile player of supply chain, we should provide reliable services. And for that, we can utilize standardized operation with the international standard, which I introduced. The name is ISO 23412. So that is all from my side. And if you have any questions, please ask me for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Solji. I will ask the audience, is there any question? มีคำถามไหมคะ มีบริษัทไหนมีตัวแทนมาแล้วสนใจไหมคะ เพราะว่าก่อนหน้านี้ได้คุยกับมิสโซจินะคะก็ทางบริษัทนะคะก็อยากจะเรียกว่าขอทำความร่วมมือนะคะกับทางบริษัทที่เป็น Third Party ของประเทศไทยด้วยนะคะแล้วก็กับทางรัฐบาลซึ่งได้ร่วมมือแล้วใช่ไหมคะมีเซ็น MOU ไปใช่ไหมคะกับทางกรมการขนส่งทางบกหรือเปล่าคะอ๋อยังไม่ได้เซ็นแต่ว่ากำลังคุยกันอยู่ยังไม่ได้เซ็นอะไรใช่ไหมคะอ๋อเป็นการประชุมร่วมกันเฉยๆก็คือคงคิดว่าเขาก็คงอยากจะเซตอัพในอนาคตนะคะถ้าไม่มีอาจารย์ถามเองแล้วกันนะคะเพราะอาจารย์ก็มีคำถามเหมือนกันนะคะOkay, Ms. Solji, I have a question for you. Is this ISO standard, because it's just launched in May 2020, right? Is this one will be able to cope with the COVID situation? Like, is there any issue or any measure or rules or whatever, like suggestion to cope with the pandemic or other like incident in the standard?
Okay, thanks for your question. Your question means that there is any the requirement related to any sanitation or the like food safety part, like. Okay, so basically this standard is for the service standard, the logistics, the parcel delivery services, the refrigerated one. But as you can see the slide, I will show you the slide. As you can see here, it is the comprehensive ISO standard which covers refrigerated delivery service. But naturally, to provide service, you should consider like quality, security, or any management of the facility or device, and also like food safety, sanitation matters. So while developing this standard, we have discussed also that aspect with the experts and also the collaborating with the experts from the food safety side in ISO members. We could hear their opinions about this food safety, and we could align these two the area of service and also from the food safety aspect. So for your answers, yes, I can say that this is not mainly for the food safety, and this is mainly for the service operation, but it includes the necessary part, the minimum necessary part of the sanitation and also the safety part.
Okay, thank you very much. And there's another problem. Another question. I think this one asks about what is your current customer. I think for Yamato, the customer that you implement this standard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Regarding our current customers, what was their question about?
About like they asked about is the Yamato give the service to any customer right now? Actually, I don't understand the question as well, but I think the question is about like what is your current customer, and maybe is you already apply this ISO, right, for the customer. So like could you give an example of your current customer?
Oh, yeah, we have been providing this the cold chain delivery services from 1988, as I mentioned, and so that means we have a lot of the various kinds of customers, including fresh food or like processed food, anything. And this standard, this certification, we was in Japan certified in this September, very after this published this standard. And this is not for the specific customers, and it is certification for our services. And this is the common service as the parcel delivery services. That means we can promote the fact that we could be certified as a reliable the service provider who has this kind of standard. This ISO standard is not for just the specific contract-based customers. It is a general standard that certifies us that we have the qualification of this kind of requirement. So, is it okay for your understanding?
I'm not sure about the one who asked. Okay, I think is finally we understand that okay, right now there is a new standard that cover the last mile delivery and cold chain, right? Cold chain last mile delivery, which is never happened before, and this one is combinations of the ISO 9001 to 28,000. Oh, sorry, 28,000, 22,000, those kind of things. So it's combined several parts. Right?
I'm sorry. So for your the understanding, it is not like a combination of this ISO 9001 or to 22,000. I don't mean that it is combination, but I intended that it has the related parts of this standard.
So it's related part of those standard, right?
Yeah. So that means the service providers or shippers who already utilizing this kind of standard, like to 20,000 or 9,001, they can also utilize this ISO 23412 for the delivery scope.
So I would like to check if my understanding is correct. So if I'm the third-party logistics in Thailand, I already have ISO 9001 and the other. I still need to have this if I want to ensure that for the last mile delivery with the temperature control, I should follow the instruction in this, right?
Yeah, in addition to the existing other management standard, they can also utilize this ISO 23412.
Okay, 23412. Yeah, I think I make a mistake.
Yeah,
23412, not 21. 23412. Okay, so and is there มีคำถามอื่นอีกไหมคะ
มีท่านใดมี
มี
คำถาม
ส่งไมค์ได้นะคะที่เหมือนมีจากฟลอร์บอกว่าจะใช้ไมค์
มีท่านใดมี
แล้วระหว่าง
คำถามไหมครับ
รอนะคะ we still have ยังมีเวลานะหรือว่าจะให้สรุปที่สปีกเกอร์คนที่2ที่3นิดหน่อยแล้วกันนะคะ Okay, so now I would like to thank you for Ms. Solji presentation, and we still have time, so I will summarize the presentation of Dr. Chen and Ms. Solji for Thai people. Okay, I will summarize this in Thai. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So สำหรับของสไลด์ของทางดร.เฉินนะคะจากไต้หวันเนี่ยเราจะเห็นว่าก็จะมีเดี๋ยวขอแชร์ภาพนิดหนึ่งนะคะเราก็จะเห็นว่ามีเรื่องของเทคโนโลยีมากมายเลยนะคะซึ่งอาจารย์ก็ไปเห็นมาแล้วเพราะว่าอาจารย์ไปดูมานะคะก็ตั้งแต่เรื่องของนะคะคือพูดถึงว่ามันมีการเรียกว่าสถาบันนะคะวิจัยของไต้หวันที่ชื่อ ITRI เนี่ยนะคะก็ได้มีการวิจัยนะคะ ทั้งอุปกรณ์ที่เกี่ยวข้องกับโคเชนต่างๆนะคะซึ่งทางสถาบันเนี่ยเขาก็จะมีนักวิจัยค่อนข้างเยอะเลยนะคะที่จบ PhD นะแล้วก็ไปพัฒนาไม่ว่าจะเป็นคูลบ็อกซ์นะคะคูลแพ็กนะคะที่เห็นในภาพนะคะเห็นในภาพนี้นะคะอันนี้เป็นบ็อกซ์นะคะอันนี้เป็นคูลแพ็กนะคะตอนไปอาจารย์ก็ถามหูต้องแต่ละชนิดเลยเพราะเขาบอกว่าสินค้าแต่ละตัวมันความต้องการไม่เหมือนกันนะคะแล้วก็เขาก็ทำการรีเสิร์ชวิจัยนะว่าควรจะใช้เท่าไหร่แล้วก็เหมือนเป้าหมายเขาค่อนข้างชัดเจนนะว่าเขาอยากให้มีการขนส่งเนี่ยแล้วก็โดยที่ไม่ได้ใช้ตัว refrigeration ก็คือลดขนส่งที่ปรับอุณหภูมิอะค่ะเพราะว่าเราสามารถใส่ในกล่องแล้วก็ใช้ตัวคูลแพ็คได้เลยนะคะเขาก็ทดลองว่าถ้าไฟมันดับเพราะว่าเวลาเกิดพวกพายุอะไรต่างๆเพราะว่าเขาเจอบ่อยใช่ไหมครับเวลาเกิดพายุมาแล้วไฟดับปุ๊บเนี่ยก็ต้องมีคูลแพ็คเนี่ยเป็นตัวช่วยนะคะแล้วก็เขาได้วิจัยเรื่องของตัวนี้ที่ดร.เฉินบอกเนี่ยเป็นเรียกว่าตู้เย็นเคลื่อนที่นั่นเองนะคะซึ่งตู้เย็นเคลื่อนที่เนี่ยข้างในเนี่ยจะใส่คูลแพ็คไว้เพราะฉะนั้นก็เหมาะสำหรับการที่สมมติว่าเรามีรถบรรทุกอยู่ใช่ไหมคะแล้วก็เราอาจจะไม่มีตัว partition นะคะเราจะทำไงว่าในสินค้าของรถคันนี้อาจจะเป็นทั้งต้องการควบคุมอุณหภูมิบางตัวไม่ต้องการควบคุมอุณหภูมิเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยก็ใช้หลักการเนี่ยนะคะใช้ตู้เย็นเคลื่อนที่ใส่สินค้าที่ต้องการควบคุมอุณหภูมิเข้าไปนะก็ช่วยได้หรือจะใช้แบบที่เป็น joint temperature ก็คือตัวที่รถขนส่งที่รู้สึกจะอยู่สไลด์หน้า32นะคะที่เมื่อกี้มีคนถามก็ใช้แบบนั้นได้ซึ่งการที่เราออกแบบอย่างเงี้ยมันมีข้อดีนะคะถ้าเชื่อมโยงไปกับสไลด์ของดร.รอดนี่เนี่ยซึ่งพูดถึงเรื่องของการจัดการสินค้าคงคลังสำคัญมากนะคะถ้าเราต้องแบบว่าขนส่งแบบเต็มรถบรรทุกเลยนะคะแล้วก็ต้องเหมือนผลักภาระไปให้กับผู้ค้าปลีกหรือว่าลูกค้าปลายทางเนี่ยเป็นคนเก็บสต็อกมันก็จะลำบากแล้วก็ทำให้ค่าเรียกว่าต้นทุนของการจัดเก็บเนี่ยสูงแต่ถ้าเราใช้ตู้เย็นเคลื่อนที่หรือว่าใช้กล่องอะไรพวกนี้ทำให้เราสามารถส่งสินค้าได้เหมือนรายวันก็ส่งไปทุกวันเพราะว่าไม่ต้องรอว่าลดอุณหภูมินี้ต้องเต็มคันแล้วค่อยไปลดอุณหภูมิธรรมดาเต็มคันแล้วค่อยไปตัวนี้เป็นประโยชน์แล้วเขาก็เลยบอกว่ามีการใช้จำนวนหนึ่งเลยแหละนะคะที่อย่างคาฟูอย่างไรก็ใช้นะคะของไต้หวันแล้วก็นอกจากนั้นเนี่ยตัวที่สำคัญอีกก็คือเรื่องของการมอนิเตอร์นะคะอุณหภูมินะคะตัวมอนิเตอร์อุณหภูมิเนี่ยก็เขาก็จะใช้เรียกว่า Data Logger ที่ IoT ซึ่งทางอาจารย์ก็ได้พัฒนาด้วยนะคะมีร่วมกับบริษัทก็พัฒนาตัว Data Logger with IoT ซึ่งเป็นเวอร์ชันของคนไทยนะครับตอนนั้นที่คิดเนี่ยเราก็ไปดูงานยังบอกเราคิดตามหลังเขานะเพราะเขาว่าทำกันไปถึงไหนแล้วแต่เราเพิ่งมาคิดเองนะคะส่วนที่ในภาพเนี่ยนะคะก็เป็นแบบตู้เหมือนว่าเป็นคอนโทรลของทุกห้องเลยเหมือนเรานั่งอยู่ที่เครื่องคอมเนี่ยเราสามารถมอนิเตอร์ได้หมดเลยนะคะแล้วก็หลักของการวางตัว Data Logger ก็คือต้องไปวางในจุดที่คิดว่ามันร้อนที่สุดนะคะถ้าเป็นของเย็นก็คือจุดที่ร้อนที่สุดเขาก็บอกว่าดูแล้วก็พอมี Data Logger กับที่มี IoT เนี่ยก็สามารถเรียกว่าพออุณหภูมิตัวไหนที่มันจะขึ้นสูงแล้วก็สามารถ SMS text ไปหรืออะไรก็ได้นะคะส่งไลน์ส่งแชทไปได้นะคะก็ไปบอกนี่คือเป็นข้อดีนะคะของตัวเทคโนโลยีที่เราใช้นะนี่ก็เป็นรถบรรทุกที่เรียกว่ามี2อุณหภูมินะคะซึ่งคิดว่าประเทศไทยก็เริ่มมีใช้กันนะคะเพราะว่าถ้าใช้ตรงนี้ได้ก็ทำให้สามารถที่จะประหยัดต้นทุนไปได้แล้วก็เรื่องของข้อมูลเนี่ยนะคะที่เมื่อกี้ได้กล่าวไปเราต้องควรจะมีการเก็บข้อมูลมี database นะคะแล้วก็เมื่อกี้รู้สึกตอนที่สรุปของดร.รอดนี่ไม่ได้พูดถึงว่าดร.รอดนี่มีพูดเยอะเหมือนกันนะเกี่ยวกับ data มีการใช้ data mining มีการทำ data analysis ซึ่งใช้เยอะมากสำหรับพวก e-commerce อะไรเนี่ยพอมีข้อมูลเป็น big data เอาเข้ามาดูเราจะได้รู้ว่าลูกค้าต้องการอะไรจะวางแผนอะไรต่อไปนะคะนอกเหนือจากนี้รู้สึกว่าจะมีที่อาจารย์ก็สนใจจะทำมากเลยตอนแรกติดต่อทางไต้หวันแล้วนะคะแต่ว่างบประมาณไม่มีนะคะก็เลยยังไม่ได้ทำก็คือเรื่องของ VR กับ AR นะคะเพราะเราได้ไปดูแล้วตัว VR กับ AR เนี่ยเมื่อกี้ดร.เฉินบอกว่าสามารถที่จะใช้ในการเทรนคนได้นะคะโดยเฉพาะคนด้านโลจิสติกอาจารย์ก็เชื่อว่าก็แทนที่จะไปทำของจริงก็ทำตรงนี้ก่อนให้เขาผ่านก่อนพอผ่านเสร็จไปทำของจริงก็จะได้มั่นใจมากขึ้นนะคะนี่ก็เป็น ประมาณสรุปโดยรวมนะคะของทางดร.เฉินนะคะ
ครับ
แล้วก็ยังมีส่วนของมิสโซจินะคะเดี๋ยวนะคะต้องเปิดคือก็เป็นตัว ISO นะคะตัวใหม่คืออาจจะไม่ได้มีข้อมูลเป็นรายละเอียดว่ามีข้ออะไรบ้างนะคะแต่ว่าก็เราก็จะได้เห็นว่าอย่างน้อยคือมาตรฐานอะไรที่ยังไม่ได้ครอบคลุมตัวที่เป็น last mile ก็คือขนส่งแบบไปถึงลูกค้าเลยที่เป็นเรียกว่าผู้บริโภคนะคะการขนส่งโคเชนที่ไปถึงผู้บริโภคนะคะที่อาจจะเป็นพาร์เซลหรือเป็นกล่องเล็กๆน้อยๆเนี่ยที่ผ่านมายังไม่เคยมีมาตรฐานตัวเหล่านี้มาก่อนเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยก็เลยบังเกิดตัว ISO นะคะตัวนี้ขึ้นมานะคะก็ซึ่งก็คือเพิ่งมาเป็นปีนี้23412นะคะพูดถึงพาร์เซลนะคะแล้วก็เมื่อกี้สรุปว่าทางมิโซจิบอกว่าไอ้ที่ในภาพนะคะที่เป็นสีเหลืองเนี่ยก็คือ ISO 23412เนี่ยมันเหมือนดึงเรียกว่าดึงบางส่วนที่เอามาใช้ได้ที่เกี่ยวข้องกับการขนส่งแบบโคเชนที่เป็น last mile เนี่ยเอามาใช้นะคะแต่เมื่อกี้ที่อาจารย์บอกไว้ว่า combination ของพวกนี้บอกไม่ใช่นะแต่ดึงบางฟีเจอร์มาดึงบางอาจจะดึงบางกฎมาใช้นะเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าเราเป็นบริษัทเรายังไงเราก็ต้องมี ISO 9001 ISO 28000พวกนี้นะคะแล้วก็ถ้าเราอยากจะขนส่งที่เป็น last mile ด้วยก็ควรจะมี ISO 23412เพื่อที่จะให้ลูกค้ามั่นใจนะคะที่รู้สึกจะมีอยู่หน้าหนึ่งที่บอกว่าทำให้เนี่ยค่ะทำให้เป็นคือใครบ้างที่จะได้รับประโยชน์นะคะทุกมาตรฐานเนี่ยมันกว่าจะเรียกว่ากว่าจะตั้งกว่าจะเขียนขึ้นมาได้เนี่ยนะคะอย่างอาจารย์ก็เป็นคอมมิตี้หนึ่งในที่ร่างมาตรฐานของมกอช.ที่เกี่ยวข้องกับการขนส่งเหมือนกันการขนส่งผักผลไม้เนี่ยเราเลยรู้ว่ากว่าจะได้มาตรฐานหนึ่งมาเนี่ยมันไม่ใช่ง่ายๆเนาะผ่านทั้งคอมมิตี้ผ่านทั้ง Public Hearing นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยตัวนี้ที่เขาบอกเริ่มตั้งแต่2018จนมาถึง2020ก็คิดว่าก็คงผ่านความเห็นผ่านการกลั่นกรองมาแล้วอย่างดีคนที่ได้ประโยชน์ก็มีทั้งภาครัฐนะคะแล้วก็ภาคเอกชนโดยตรงก็คือทั้งคอน sumer ทั้งบริษัทเล็กๆนะคะที่เขาอาจจะแบบได้รับความช่วยเหลือจากคนที่อยู่ในเชนเดียวกันก็คือเป็นผู้ให้บริการเองนะคะหรือว่าเขาจะเป็นคนขายอย่าง SME แบบเป็นเกษตรกรหรือว่าคนผลิตอะไรพวกนี้นะคะที่ต้องการจะส่งตรงถึงผู้บริโภคนะคะถ้าในปัจจุบันเนี่ยเราก็เริ่มมี third party ที่ให้บริการจนถึงผู้บริโภคเหมือนกันแต่ว่าอย่างจะเห็นว่าบางรายก็ไม่มีใช่ไหมคะไม่มีแบบควบคุมอุณหภูมิก็เลยทำให้สินค้าเนี่ยเน่าเสียนะคะก็ตัวนี้ก็เลยจะเป็นปัญหานะคะอย่างที่อาจารย์ไปเห็นก็คือทางสากลของทางใต้เนี่ยเขาก็ขนส่งเงาะนะคะมังคุดขึ้นมาทางภาคกลางหรือภาคเหนือเนี่ยถ้าส่งแบบธรรมดาไม่มีควบคุมอุณหภูมิก็กว่าจะถึงปลายทางนะคะผลไม้ก็เน่าเสียไปแล้วคุณภาพเสียหายแล้วก็คือความอร่อยมันไม่ได้แบบเดิมนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นถ้ามีการให้บริการก็จะดีขึ้นนะคะก็คิดว่าถ้าได้ implement ตัว ISO นะคะก็จะทำให้มีอย่างน้อยมีแนวทางว่าจะต้องปฏิบัติอย่างไรนะคะนี่ก็เลยเป็นจุดเริ่มต้นก็คิดว่าเดี๋ยวทางมิโซจิก็คงจะดำเนินการติดต่อผู้ที่เกี่ยวข้องต่อไปนะคะนี่ก็จะเป็นสรุปของภาพรวมนะคะโอเคนะคะก็
ครับสำหรับจริงๆท่านใดที่มีคำถามอาจจะฝากทางทีมงานได้นะครับแต่มีวิทยากรบางท่านที่ให้สามารถรวบรวมคำถามแล้วก็ถามไปได้นะครับตรงนี้ไม่แน่ใจมีท่านใดที่อยากจะคอมเมนต์หรือว่ามีคำถามอะไรเพิ่มเติมไหมครับตอนนี้เป็นเวลาประมาณเที่ยงนิดๆพอดีเลยนะครับคาดว่าอาหารด้านล่างน่าจะพร้อมเรียบร้อยแล้วนะครับงั้นเราอาจจะพักรับประทานอาหารกัน1 ชั่วโมงนะครับคราวนี้เดี๋ยวขออนุญาตชี้แจงนิดนึงนะครับสำหรับการรับประทานอาหารเที่ยงนะครับเดี๋ยวบริเวณตรงประตูนะครับจะมีน้องที่แจกคูปองนะครับน้องจะแจกคูปองให้ท่านละ1 ใบนะครับแล้วก็จากนั้นนะครับสำหรับบริเวณห้องรับประทานอาหารจะ